What's up, Royal Babies? Oh, King Baby back here with another video. Hey, I'll see it today. You know what I mean? Hey, bro, today we got the dumbest controversies in MMA history. I mean, hey, let's just get into it. I don't want to talk too much. Y'all know I don't like talking too much. I do like talking, but I'm not gonna talk too much. You know what I mean? What controversies do we know in fucking sports in general? What we do know is drug use controversies, like steroids, shit like that. Gender controversies, we always get those. I mean, hey, I feel like if without those, that it wouldn't be sports. You know what I mean? We need those gender controversies on whether these people treated fairly compared to these people, you know what I mean? And we get some scandals, you know, like sex tapes, players sleeping with managers, shit like that. We get shit like that all the time. But anyway, let's just get into it. Let's check out these the dumbest controversies in MMA history. Before we get into the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join the Royal Babies, because I am royal. You are royal. This channel I react to football videos and MMA videos. So if you like MMA and football, or MMA or football, just make sure you hit the subscribe button, because you're gonna get those every day. You're gonna get one of the two. You're gonna get both of them every day, actually. Cause I'm uploading twice a day, and it's fucking hard already. But it's a commitment. And yeah, I'm gonna do it as long as I can. And yeah, let's just get into the video. Let's go. Join the Royal Babies, because I am royal, you are royal. Let's go.
We as fans take MMA incredibly seriously most of the time. The consequences for these fighters are very real. The stakes are insanely high across the entire card, each and every show, and there are legitimate concerns about serious topics within the sport that need to be regularly addressed and brought to light. Today, though, we're not going to be talking about any of those things. No, this list is all about the really stupid and minor things
You
we've wasted our
fucking
energy on over the
weasel.
years in this sport. Whether it's some slight from an outsider, a stupid spat within,
Gunner.
or just the absolutely absurd, we're going to be counting down the 10
Yo,
water
like, bro, Ringo, I'm a booty man. So if I see booty, I'm gonna go. Like, just don't judge me.
cooler
Don't
debates
judge
that we
me.
all got a bit
But hey, Khabib said he must get rid of those wrinkles.
too fired up about or invested in, because at the end of the day, it was pretty silly in the first place. I'm Tommy from MMA On Point, and these are the 10 dumbest controversies in MMA history.
Alright, cool. Tommy on
Number
MMA on
10,
point.
Stephen A. Smith
Shout
trashes
out.
Cowboy. For ESPN personalities used to discussing sports and athletes in ways that are totally accepted in pretty much every other realm but MMA, going on to a UFC broadcast is truly uncharted territory. Stephen A. Smith made a career talking about sports the way he talks about sports.
You retired from dancing and you talking about you gonna beat Michael Jordan?
And by that I mean he's not afraid to criticize the athletes harshly after their performances.
Oh!
And while that's standard practice in pretty much the entire sports world, MMA has always been a bit different, in large part because it's only ever been our own covering the sport. There is of course criticism and analysis that goes on, but there's a certain level of respect, a certain threshold that if crossed by the wrong parties, is going to create some serious tension in the community. That's what Stephen A. Smith did after Donald Cerrone's bout with Conor McGregor at UFC 246. It was nothing out of the ordinary for after a basketball game or when discussing football on First Take, but he did it to a beloved MMA fighter as an outsider on a UFC broadcast after the guy just had an awful night in the cage.
Listen, I'm shocked and disappointed. I expected it to end in round 2. I didn't expect it to end in 40 seconds. Cowboy Cerrone just didn't look ready.
And oh shit, were people unhappy about this one. I mean, this didn't go over well.
I mean, hey, I love Cowboy Cerrone, bro. Like, hey, I love him. So don't trash talk him.
Everybody in the community had a take on it. Think pieces were being done, videos made. Stephen A., who's seen it all and then some, didn't even flinch a bit at the controversy, but the feathers remained ruffled in the MMA world. There is still a hugely negative reaction to the broadcaster whenever he even so much as thinks about MMA now. He does have some mean hands though, doesn't he? Number 9, Ariel Helwani versus Brendan Schaub. It's
Those
something new
have
for
no
personalities in the MMA space to take issue with each other. After all, this is the fight game, right? But while me having beef with Pete Carroll isn't gonna make headlines, by the way, I'm just kidding, I have no problem with Pete, the man is an Irish angel. Ariel Helwani, a giant of the MMA industry, having issues with Brendan Schaub, who regularly has a spot on the biggest podcast literally in the world, and has made a presence in the MMA space himself through various programs and appearances on Showtime. Yeah, that's gonna be news. It might be silly news, but people were interested. As far as I can tell, the tensions went all the way back to the UFC 199 debacle.
I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I'm just gonna wait to go to the next controversy.
Helwani's brief lifetime banning over the Brock Lesnar return scoop. Ariel took issue with Schaub regularly repeating a version of the narrative that wasn't accurate and painted him in a bad light. After Helwani left ESPN this year for a variety of new jobs, one gig he landed was the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley sit-down for Showtime, a job Brendan quipped on one of his podcasts was only given to Ariel because he didn't want it.
Oh, how do you think he got the job? I didn't want to do it.
This slight would set off a chain of escalating events that would result in several segments on both figures' shows, the newly resurrected MMA Hour and The Fighter and the Kid, being dedicated to the back and forth beef, with Helwani going scorched earth for 20 minutes at a time.
This man legitimately thinks that he is better than us.
And Schaub eventually getting to the say it to my face phase.
Hey, dude, come after me. Don't go after Brian.
It would appear the two parties eventually had a talk over the phone, and things have finally cooled down with minimal bloodshed. Number 8, Dana and the Internet Pirates. There's a long and storied history of Dana White versus the Internet, particularly as it relates.
Oh, yeah. Hold on, I think I just stopped recording. Yeah, I'm still recording. Yeah, Dana White just hates those internet pirates, bro. But hey,
the internet, particularly as it relates to those
I'm lucky I can watch it for free, you know, without paying like paid per view. Because in South Africa, it's basically on TV, like it's like broadcasted on TV. So yeah, but it's only some fights, you know. Sometimes I can't watch it.
Who so very often steal his product, UFC pay-per-views. And while the seas can often be rough for those seeking compensation for lost booty, just look at the lunacy that Triller attempted recently, asking for confessions and the cost of the pay-per-view in exchange for leniency. White took things to hilarious new levels in the lead-up to UFC 257, the Poirier-McGregor rematch, and clearly what was to be the biggest card of the year in terms of pay-per-view sales, and of course pirated streams as well. After being taunted by a scallywag on Instagram over stealing the card, White declared he had a, quote, surprise for you motherfuckers. The vague threat was elaborated on in the coming weeks, with Dana bragging that the promotion had overcome some sort of legal hurdle that would make finding and prosecuting pirates easier.
We're going to catch some of these guys in 2021, and I look forward to the crying and the begging.
Hilariously, White
I fucking love this.
claimed that he had chosen individuals who taunted him about illegally streaming the show to make an example of, and that a particular pirate's home was being monitored and his phone was tapped.
We're watching his house. We're listening to his phone conversations. I will go guns a fucking blazing on this guy.
I guess that legal hurdle was the Patriot Act. Dana claimed the streamer chickened out and told everyone on his site how to instead legally buy the UFC card. That's right, they got him, they got the pirate, and nobody has ever stolen a UFC pay-per-view since. As the weeks went on, Dana's campaign against the internet would take a back seat, as they either gave up or they decided discussing phone taps publicly wasn't a good idea. Number 7, Frank Mir goes too far. Hyperbole is the name of the MMA game. We love hyperbole. Everything is the biggest, the best. We use phrases like war and warriors. Fighters are going to battle. They'll be carried out on their shields. You could even say, I'm gonna kill everyone, like Hamza just did after his UFC 260.
This man right here is crazy.
Bout, and fans know what he actually means.
I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Get out of here.
He plans on defeating everyone in his division in sanctioned bouts under some form of the unified rules of MMA, being overseen by state officials in a predetermined location and time, agreed upon by both parties and signed to legal contract. What I'm getting at here is that you got a lot of leeway to say some pretty outlandish stuff and it not get taken seriously.
Stomp on his head as he's unconscious.
Which is why what Frank Mir did is so stupid. In the lead up to his interim title fight with Shane Carwin at UFC 111, Mir was asked about a potential trilogy with Brock Lesnar on a radio show and had this to say about his desired outcome.
How he is as a person, I want to break his neck in the ring. I want him to be the first person to die due to octagon-related injuries.
Jesus, Frank, did you have to be so specific about it? Mir would be at the least
that's not
verbally reprimanded by the UFC and would make a public apology regarding his murderous intent. White later assured the media that Mir would never say anything like that again. This was before the blanket boys will be boys policy enacted by Dana sometime around 2016. Number 6, ring card girls. The number of articles, YouTube videos, and Twitter threads dedicated to a quote from Khabib Nurmagomedov on ring card girls is pretty
I was talking about this, but hey, they be cute, you know. And there was a picture, I don't know a picture of who really, but like while his coach is talking to him or trainer, I don't know what to say, but like while his coach is talking to him, he's looking at the girl while she's walking around with the cards, like, you know, and the caption was like Khabib warned us about something like that. I forgot, bro, but hey, it's true though. But fuck that, it's like you're taking away a big thing from sports, like just sports in general, not sports in general, in what you call combat sports, because I feel like okay in professional mainstream combat sports you're taking a big thing away, because in boxing, UFC and what else, boxing, MMA, and I don't know what else, but the girls are there. The girls are supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Other shit like other combat sports like karate and shit. Obviously, okay, it's karate, bro. Like karate is like, I don't know, it's like the Pope. Karate is just pure. You know what I
Ring card
mean?
girls is pretty staggering. In August, the former lightweight champion was asked in a Russian language Q&A why the card-carrying models are absent from his Eagle Fighting Championship promotion, to which Nurmagomedov gave a pretty long-winded answer. But the quote that made the biggest impact was, "Ring girls are the most useless people in martial arts." Habib then went on to explain that their function as indicators of the round could be replaced by the displaying of that information on digital screens, something of course nobody has ever considered before. The practicality of their function wasn't the Eagles' real issue, but the sexualization, something he said he did not want in his promotion. For the next month or so, hot takes on ring card girls and their place in the sport were everywhere, with opinions running the gamut and landing just about anywhere you can imagine. Other fighters were asked for their opinions on the matter in Fight Week interviews,
and no one have right to say that they are useless.
Many of the ring card girls themselves chimed in. Instead of the discussion,
I mean, okay, hold on. Are they useful? Let's think about it. Besides displaying the fact that the round, that is the next round, is some shit like that, are they useful? I'm not asking if are they useless, because I don't want to. I'm just asking, are they useful? How are they useful? Just think about it. I'm thinking now, right? They display the rounds, right? You can fucking like find another way to display which round on the fucking screen on top. Just put it right there that we're going into round 2 now. You know what I mean? Everyone can see that. It has a better view. Like more people can see it than when the ring girls are walking around the ring. But I'm just saying, yo, Khabib is not entirely wrong. I mean, first of all, we have to admit that the whole purpose of him being there is a sexual purpose. It's not really
about Habib, it became more so about ring card girls themselves as a whole and whether they should exist at all, which seems like a pretty big leap from where we started. Why now is the fate of ring card girls in the balance because Habib doesn't like them? A similar debate began after Ronda Rousey dismissed ring card girls 6 years prior.
I'm sorry, but she wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the fighters. She wouldn't.
While there are certainly meaningful discussions that can be had about the sexualization of women in sports and the nature of ring card girls, most of the sensationalizing that occurs whenever one of these quotes makes headlines feels like it's more so in service of feeding the social media beast and bringing out a lot of unnecessary nastiness towards actual ring card girls than it is about having any real discussions.
Don't slag them off.
Number 5, Dana's war with EA. If you're planning on taking on the biggest sports video game company in history, you'd better make sure it's in your best interest to do so. And maybe it was, or at least things worked out. According to Dana White, in 2007 he tried to set up a meeting with Electronic Arts in order to make a deal for a UFC game. EA is the publisher of Madden, FIFA. They own the lion's share of the sports gaming world. That still holds true in 2021.
Your game is
White alleges the execs just shit all over MMA and said it wasn't even a real sport, that they would never make a game about such garbage. So Dana took his license and went to THQ instead, eventually releasing UFC 2009 Undisputed and 2 more titles that were all successful. But when it was announced that same year that EA would be releasing their own MMA game, White went on the warpath, declaring that any fighter who signed their likeness over to EA would never fight in the UFC.
I don't give a fuck.
Mind you, this is what
I'd fucking do the same shit. I'd do the same shit. Hey, if you want to fight in my company, you cannot register to be in a game for another company that doesn't fuck with my company, that won't do business with my company. Hey,
Strikeforce still
simple. I fucking love Dana.
fight in the UFC.
I love Dana.
I don't give a fuck.
Mind you, this is when Strikeforce still existed, a promotion that would be featured heavily in the game, and so Dana was essentially attempting to sabotage EA's project by scaring off any fighters with UFC ambitions or any independent contractors already working with the promotion. Time heals all wounds though, and so does millions of dollars, because as THQ was in its death throes, the UFC license would go to EA in 2012. That whole war a few years back, a thing of the past. With a recent re-up of a decade, it's safe to say that EA and UFC will be at peace for a while. Number 4, Addison Rae steals jobs. MMA fans in general are weary of outsiders. We don't like new folks, particularly notable folks who want to join in on our fun. Fans worry they might somehow corrupt it or bring in a crowd that just doesn't get the sport. This hesitation has led to some pretty stupid controversies, but one of the dumbest is without question what happened with TikTok star Addison Rae in the lead up to UFC 264. Seeing as the show was going to be a huge pay-per-view draw, and Rae is a client of parent company Endeavor, the powers that be thought it would be a good idea to include her in some of their TikTok promotional work for the show, including an interview with Dustin Poirier on Fight Week. The setup was was done in front of a UFC backdrop with a UFC microphone. It looked very official, and so the 20-year-old who's always looking for a photo op decided to make a joke about the scene on her Twitter account that a whole bunch of people weren't laughing about. Ray said, I studied broadcast journalism in college for 3 whole months to prepare for this moment. Fans immediately assumed the worst, that Addison was now a permanent UFC fixture. Not only had she likely taken jobs from some hardworking sports journal on her way up, but maybe she was replacing
I don't want Addison Ray in this shit, bro.
a beloved member.
Please, fuck
Of the
no.
current broadcast team. By next pay-per-view, she might as well have Joe Rogan spot calling the fights. With no context and the bad joke, fans lashed out hard. Ray was trending all day on social media over the incident, joking later that she was fired over the controversy. Look, I get it, I don't want TikTokers talking to me either, but at the same time, maybe we should all figure out what happened exactly before we, freak out about it like we always do about everything in this sport. Number 3, Conor versus the Showtime Guy. If you go and check the social media of Steven Espinoza, the now president of Showtime Sports, you will inevitably and very quickly find and reply to almost anything he says some mention of him being a weasel.
You fucking weasel.
And that is because of Conor McGregor and this ridiculously silly beef that stems from that time that Notorious boxed Floyd Mayweather for hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm sure when Espinoza graduated from the UCLA School of Law with a Juris Doctor in 1996, he never imagined that one of the most notable things that would ever happen to him was a spat with the biggest cage fighter in the world. This whole thing started at the Los Angeles leg of the 4-stop Maymac Press Conference World Tour meant to promote the show. It was the first such event, and because of the structure, you can tell Conor was a bit uncomfortable. Something pretty rare to see when it comes to putting on a show for the media. On top of that, there were regularly microphone issues, and while he adapted as the show went on, things certainly didn't go as Conor had hoped on that first day. The second stop was Toronto, and McGregor was on fire. The awkwardness of the last show completely gone, Conor ripped into anyone and everyone, including Espinoza, who he repeatedly called a fucking weasel.
You fucking weasel.
Look at you little fucking weasel. I can see it in your eyes.
Claiming that it was in fact Showtime Sports that was trying to sabotage him at the first show, cutting his microphone off.
Cut my mic off. Cut the champ's mic off!
Steven would largely dismiss McGregor's notion that the network had it out for him, but the story would keep its legs through the press tour, with Conor making the exec a regular target. Dana White even got in on the Espinoza bashing.
You slimy little rat.
In the end, though, everyone got filthy rich, and I'm sure shared a drink or two, but the lasting effects of this silliness remain on Steven's social media to this day.
They all made a couple millions.
Number 2, Israel Adesanya's nipple. Where to start on this one? I guess just how about the nipple? Prior to his highly anticipated middleweight title defense at UFC 253 against Paulo Costa, particularly on fight night but also at the weigh-ins, fans began to notice a physical change in Israel Adesanya that had never been there prior. The tissue around his right nipple looked particularly larger than it had previous. Perhaps John Jones said it best when he tweeted, "What's up with Izzy right tit?" Question John. While the whole of the MMA community began to ponder what exactly was up with Izzy right tit, he would absolutely decimate what was expected to be his toughest challenge yet in Costa, earning an easy second round TKO. This superhuman performance only adding fuel to the Nipplegate fire. Now some of you are probably sitting here thinking, Tommy, what the hell does this
I feel like, okay, I know what relates to nipples and sports. It's fucking gyno, which comes from steroids. But fuck that. I feel like I'm not recording. I already know where this is coming. I already know where this is
growth on his
going.
chest have to do with anything? Well, it just so happens that a common side effect of PED usage can be what's known as gynecomastia, or as the cool kids call it, gyno. And it can look a whole lot like
I'm a cool kid, I told you.
Although, to be fair, the condition can have other causes besides sipping the Capri Sun. But Adesanya's sudden onset had fans, medical experts, and armchair doctors wildly speculating as to what exactly had happened and why. The champ initially dismissed the issue.
Why are they looking at my titties?
But would later reveal the UFC doctor said it could have been from smoking too much weed. I'm not going to even attempt to dive into what actually happened here, as I'm nowhere near qualified, but there's tons of content for you to take a look at about it if you want to do a deep dive. In his subsequent fights, Stylebender's boob has gone back to normal, and the controversy has largely been forgotten. But for one special night in 2020, one man's nipple had the world captivated. Number 1, Lesnar going off on Bud Light. That's Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing. Yes, it was perhaps one of the greatest post-fight rants in MMA history. A vindicated Brock Lesnar, after having defeated Frank Mir in a rematch of their ill-fated UFC 81 encounter, was on top of the MMA world, headlining the biggest card in the promotion's history, celebrating their 100th pay-per-view, retaining the heavyweight title in just his 5th pro bout. And while the Beast Incarnate had plenty to say about his opponent and the horseshoe that was apparently up his ass, as well as what he intended to do with his wife when he got home after the event, the sentiment that really caused the stir that has been removed from Fight pass so as to make you believe it never happened was when the champ mentioned what he would be drinking at home that night to celebrate. Not Bud Light, the UFC's biggest blue chip sponsor at the time. Mind you, this is in 2009, so for an MMA promotion to have a deal with a company as big as Anheuser-Busch was, well, a big deal. But Coors Light, a competing brand of beer that certainly didn't have any connection to the sport. The issue was over a personal sponsorship that Brock felt he was deserved.
That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
So you had the biggest star in the UFC shitting all over the UFC's most coveted sponsorship. Brock Lesnar very well may be able to do anything, but even this was apparently beyond the scope of his reign. The champion gave an apology at the post-fight press conference.
I want to apologize. I acted very unprofessionally after the fight.
With a Bud Light sitting right there next to him. Oh, to have been a fly on the wall backstage with Dana yelling at a Viking warlord over his choice of beer. What a sport. Big ol' shout out to my dude Luke Taylor for editing this video together. You can find him and his...
Yeah, anyways, ayo, that is shout out to Luke. What the fuck is going on? Ayo, I don't know. That just ayo, fuck. No, I wasn't gonna say that. I don't know. I'm tired. I should just leave this shit. But anyways, that is it for the video, bro. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I did for sure. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join the Royal Babies because I am royal. You are royal. And yeah, that is it for the video.